Yep, Rocketman, the song, stuck in my head, on loop, for the rest of the day. It's gonna happen. Rocketman is a biopic about Elton John, played by Taron Egerton. And yeah, it's pretty much the life and career of Elton John, how he got successful, and his eventual downward spiral into drugs, drink, and promiscuous stuff. We just had Bohemian Rhapsody come out a couple months ago, the film about Freddie Mercury and Queen, and I enjoyed that film, so I was looking forward to Rocketman to see Elton John's story. And I will say, for the first 2/3 of this film, I was into it, I was digging it, I was entertained, but I was like, yeah, but I've already seen this with Bohemian Rhapsody a couple months ago. It does follow the predictable story that you remember from Bohemian Rhapsody, where Elton John, or Reginald Dwight, he comes from obscurity, he meets some producers, he gets famous, then he becomes really famous, really successful, then the drinks and the drugs and all the behind the scenes stuff goes on a bit of a downward spiral. Same thing that happened in Bohemian Rhapsody with Freddie Mercury. And again, I was still entertained by it, but I wasn't like wowed by it or really compelled by it because I'd seen it already. But then the third act comes and the film strikes an emotional chord where I was like, oh, so that's why I should care about Elton John. And the film from that point elevated to a different level for me. And it does a really good job of showing why Elton John goes on this downward spiral of self-destruction. And you really empathise with him. And that's my main point I want to make about Rocketman, because it makes me kind of nervous about future biopics about musicians, because most musicians who have any kind of famous story worth telling kind of go on that same downward spiral. And how can you do that without being repetitive? You know, oh, it's a musical biopic about a famous musician who goes on a downward spiral of drink and drugs. We've seen it all before. But I guess it's okay as long as you make me empathise with the subject. And in Rocketman's case, I empathise with Elton John quite a bit. And there's some stuff in the film, especially with his parents. There's the scenes with his parents, you're like, oh my god, you have a pretty, not rough life, but you have a kind of a depressing life, or depressing family life at least, and it's part of the reason why you empathise with Elton John as much as you end up empathising with him. Taron Egerton plays Elton John, and I've heard some people say he gives an Oscar-worthy performance in this film. That may or may not be true, but all I can say is that he does give the performance of his career. This was the role he was born to play. He completely embodies Elton John, just in the personality, his mannerisms, his speech, and also the singing. Taron Egerton can sing, let me tell you. The musical sequences, I'll get to those more in a little bit, but Taron Egerton does a really good job singing in the film, and I just didn't feel like I was watching Exit, which was one of my fears, because that's like the main thing I know Taron Egerton for is Kingsman. But I did not see Exit, I saw Elton John. Taron Egerton, you are a star. I can't wait to see you in more things. I officially forgive you for Robin Hood now, because you're a star and you're here to stay. But yeah, let's get back to those music sequences, because they are really damn good. The thing that differentiates this from Bohemian Rhapsody is that it's a full-on musical. People break out into song and dance and start jumping around, singing things, and it was really entertaining. Some of them felt a little bit random, like characters will just break into song and dance randomly and it just catches you off guard a little bit. But sometimes the musical numbers serve as a transition between scenes where there's a bit of a time jump, and the lyrics to the songs that the characters sing in those sequences actually kind of correlate with the development of the characters between the time jumps, mainly Elton John. So in the next scene, you can tell that he's gone through a little bit of a different phase, and you realise that because of the lyrics of the song that they just sang in a big song and dance number. I thought that was actually really well done. I was not expecting that. Overall, I had quite a good time with Rocketman. Again, it does follow the predictable story of the downward spiral of the famous musician and all that, but it did a good job of empathising me with Elton John. And because of that, I felt this film was a bit better than Bohemian Rhapsody. I like Bohemian Rhapsody, but in comparison, I cared more about Elton John in this film than I did about Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody. And again, the musical fantasy sequences help differentiate it from it, and it makes it, in my opinion, a bit more of an entertaining film as well. The song and dance sequences were great. I love the Saturday Night's Alright for a fight sequence, and obviously the Rocketman sequence as well. Taron Egerton gives the performance of his career. Everybody else in the cast was good. Jamie Bell, Bryce Dallas Howard, but who are we joking? It's Taron Egerton's film. It makes me both curious and slightly concerned to see more musical biopics, because I hope they're not all the same as Rocketman and Bohemian Rhapsody in terms of the artist's story. But nonetheless, I had a good time with Rocketman, like I've already said, and I'm going to give Rocketman a 4 out of 5. So have you guys seen Rocketman? What did you think about it? And what did you prefer, a Rocketman or a Bohemian Rhapsody? And who is a famous musician that you want to see a biopic made for? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down there. And if you want to see more of my stuff, click on one of these in a second, and I'll see you all next time.